The ANC says it will be setting up a war room that will monitor as well as evaluate service delivery implementation right across the country. The party's leadership has been deliberating over the last 2 days on what actually needs to be done in order to fix local government, amongst other issues. And speaking at the ANC NEC Lekgotla being held in Boksburg on Gauteng's Eastrand, Deputy President Paul Mashatile says that the war room will focus on issues of improving access to water, building and maintaining infrastructure, roads, as well as dealing with load reduction. Joining us to further unpack this is Political Analyst, Mr. Bongani Mahlangu. Bongani, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your time. So let's get right into it, right? The ANC is deliberating on matters relating largely to the upcoming local government elections, as of course outlined in their January 8th key priorities. I want you to speak to the very contentious issue of service delivery at local government level and how you see the ANC fielding proper qualified candidates for these roles who within the party can actually take up these roles in a party that we know is always plagued by factionalism. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, AJ, colleagues and student viewers at home. So when it comes to fielding credible, qualified and competent individuals in councils, it's very difficult because that process is marred by political tension, political maneuvering, and so forth and so on. So because first of all, you have to get half of council is usually ward councillors and the other half is PR councillors. Now, usually you'd find that the mayor ordinarily would come from your PR councillors. And that is heavily contested within the ANC. So that individual that usually becomes the mayoral candidate or the PR councillor that is designated to be fielded as a mayoral candidate, normally it would be a concession between engagements from factions, or the strongest faction would then produce the candidate. Now, usually, even if the candidate had intention to get into council and deliver on whatever the mandate is of local government, then there comes those people that would then remind the candidate, or then maybe the mayor and so forth, that you would not be in the position that you are in if you are not assisted by us. And then the individual is then diverted with regards to attention and commitment to deliver to the citizens or residents of that municipality, or to deliver to the individuals that would have assisted him to be where he is. And often than not, the individual would then concede and deliver to those individuals and not necessarily to the municipality that he has taken an oath to serve. And then that translates into what? That translates into service delivery issues, where a budget can be passed if it is passed, and a funded budget for that matter, because normally you would find some municipalities would pass non-funded budget. So that's just a wish list because there's no resources to back it up. And then you find then now in the transacting of that budget, most of the money goes to consultants, most of the money goes to service providers who themselves are beholden to certain leaders who would have assisted them to get those contracts, and they can't deliver the job that they need to deliver within the respected time or quality. And then that leads to issues like the one that you guys was speaking about now with regards to sinkholes not being dealt with in time, dolomitic spaces of Gauteng in particular, where sinkholes normally develop that are not being addressed, even at times when there is an actual budget to address those things. And you find that part of the budget of a municipality would come from subsidies from the state, and you find that that does not get spent as well, because you find the political players in council cannot agree as to which service provider must then get that money. So in deciding as to who will lead, it's very complicated. But unfortunately, then the people that eventually emerge out of whatever deliberation that would have been there are not necessarily interested in delivering to people. And you find that the ward councillors, unlike PR councillors, are very difficult to remove when they do not deliver. Because once you remove a ward councillor, as you would know, it triggers a by-election that you don't know which way it would go. And if it does not go your way, case in context, if you are ANC, that means the number of people you would have in council are then reduced, and that could trigger a coalition, or it could trigger other things as well, which you do not want. So it's very important that at the phase of deciding as to who you would make a councillor, especially what councillor, you must make sure that that is the best person ethically and with regards to the necessary leadership attributes required to run a municipality.
But Bongani, I mean, let's link these key priorities to reality, right? I'm glad that you just, of course, outlined these, because the president said that this sitting actually needs to work on an implementation plan. Now, let's look at what needs to be implemented. The very same age-old challenges that the country has been facing over 30 years. We know what the issues are. We have a serious immigration crisis. We have drastic climate change impact on key infrastructure. We have a sluggish economy with Team South Africa back from Davos with more promises that are going to need implementation. Crime has exacerbated beyond what police can deal with, according to the acting Minister of Police. So what exactly needs to change in order for urgency to be the only type of reasoning at this particular time? I mean, the elections are this year, by the way.
With all that you've listed, AJ, they are quite true, they are factual. In fact, so what is common amongst everything that you would have raised is leadership. So we do not have the necessary leadership in order to see through the policies, the plans, the everything that is there on the table. So we have leadership that, or if it were not for politics, those individuals would not be anywhere in life. You would not even hire them as a packer in some small retail shop in the middle of nowhere. So now you have then those people that run our government, from local government, which is critical, up until national government. In case and context, because we are speaking about an organization called the ANC. So they would have had, as you would have put it, 6 objectives for the year at the January 8 statement. So those are the broad objectives of the year. Then they would then have to go to a Lekgotla to say, then how do we implement these? But before you even do that, you have to say what, because for instance, the 6 objectives are the same objectives for the past couple of years. You have to then present your progress report to say, how did we do from national, provincial, and up until local government, from national leadership, provincial leadership, regional leadership, zonal or regional leadership, or sub-regional leadership, up until branch and VD leadership, if it's there, to say, how did we do with regards to implementing those resolutions? For instance, we are talking about local government now. The local government objectives in the January 8 statement has been there for some years now. If you look into the resolutions, the Lekgotla or Lekgotla resolutions of last year, national resolutions, local government was there as well. So it is not a new thing of putting it there, but then still the leadership that is there is not implementing, is not moving significantly in a way that would be satisfactory to the beneficiaries of their leadership, meaning the citizens and residents of those particular municipalities. So even now, before it is even being said that local government is the key objectives for this year, we first have to then get a report to say, what did we do about it last year? Because it was part of last year's resolutions of the Lekgotla. What did we do about it last year? Because it was part of the January 8 statement objectives of the yesteryear. So you find that nothing significant has moved forward. The proposal of a war room to deal with local government is not new. There have been war rooms that have been operational, functional at provincial, at sub-regional levels, but all with the existence of those war rooms and the work that they would have done, nothing significant has moved. So now what is being presented this year from January 8 up until these Lekgotla sideline conversations, and I would bet it would also appear in the resolutions of the Lekgotla resolutions for this year. It means nothing if you're not going to put the necessary leadership in order to see it through, if you're going to you are not going to ensure that there's consequence management for a mayor that is not implementing, for an MEC of COCTA, for a premier, because those 2 deployees or individuals have specific responsibility according to the constitution and the various legislation that governs local government. To the president himself, we've seen last year the intervention in eThekwini Metro. We've seen interventions in preparations for the G20 in Johannesburg Metro.
All right, Bongani, I'm sorry, we're going to have to leave it there. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but thank you so much for unpacking that fully for us. I mean, just to mention, they were still waiting for all those members that you've mentioned. We're still waiting for their performance ratings as per, we suppose, their contractual agreements there, Bongani. We still haven't seen any of those. That's where we're going to leave it. Thank you so much, Mr. Bongani Mahlangu. He's a political analyst with some sound analysis there on the ongoing ANC Lekgotla taking place out in Boksburg on Gauteng's Eastrand.